Whoa, what happened to my RuneScape? There it is. Won't some switches be less broken in? Yes. So there's two ways of handling that. Reseals. No, we'll talk about this in a moment. This is my ultimate. Hey, thanks Andy for the follow. We'll talk about this in a sec. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, won't some switches be less broken in? Yes, and there's two ways of handling that. Way number one is either you desolder and resolder them back on after modding in the same exact orientation, so the smoother switches end up in the more pressed locations. Alternatively, you just extend your break-in period, which is why I do like 4 to 5 weeks. 4 to 5 weeks is enough. Like, it doesn't, like, obviously it's not going to rival like West German vintage broken in for 10 years, obviously, but depending on the housings, creams break in pretty fast, Gretex break in pretty fast. So like after 4 or 5 weeks, although like the total use across all the keys is not equal, you can pretty much put any switch anywhere. All right, so we're gonna clean this up a little bit. So this is my Duck Viper with the highest Omega Hippocampus Pepega switches that I have. You gonna focus? Yes. These are the smoothest switches I have ever made, by the way. Am I selling Duck Viper? Maybe. I really don't want to, because I'm not gonna get good value for it, because I paid a lot, and if anything, it's still worth the same thing. So I can't, like, I'll have to lose money essentially. All right, so these are Zeal housings. These are Zeal housings that have been broken in for 4 months. A few China guys looking. Also, this one is in really bad condition. I got this from an American guy. So like, it's completely beaten up. It's got like dents everywhere. And then like, you know, before I bought it, he was just like, yeah, it has a couple dings. And then I got it and I counted 47 dings. I'm like, yep, classic American. Never buying another keyboard from an American person again. The PCB next to the space switch looks surprised. It is surprised. Okay, so these are Zeal housings that have been broken in for... Why is your name Black Simon? I'm not black and my name's not Simon. I mean, my name is Simon, don't worry about it. It's a name that I came up with as my first RuneScape username in 2001. And I just stuck with it like, fuck it. It sounds cool. It's points, not coins, by the way. Okay, so 4-month break-in Zeal housings. Cherry-picked, old generation, Gateron yellow. So not the Gateron yellow you can buy now, the older generation that had the progressive type springs. So cherry-picked OG Gateron yellow springs. And then the stems are cherry-picked West German 1984 broken in stems. And they're stickered with orange stickers because memes. But they feel amazing. Simon killed and consumed the orange Simon. Yes, and of course they are looped. They're looped with 204. I don't like using 205 on clear housing. It's a little annoying. It's really hard to overloop. Really easy to overloop, pardon. All right, we're just gonna clean this up a little bit. I mean, it's just been sitting there doing nothing. I mean, it's fine. It's a wee bit dusty. The plate needs a little bit of cleaning. Yeah, it's let me just try and grab some dust. Yeah, you see that? That's dusty. Let me go grab some Q-tips. I will be right back. Unknown. That's what I have in my Singa. That's exactly what I have in my Singa. Wait, how do you know this? That's like my exact Singa setup. 1984 stems, 1988 housings, 55 gram KBD, 205 G0. The fuck? How? How are you me? I'm afraid. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, this was a long-term project. So, like, you know, long-term, I just wanted to build something ultra smooth. And it's just for me to enjoy, you know? I didn't, like, put a huge amount of effort. It just took a long amount of time. Like, the break-in took a long amount of time. And, you know, sourcing the parts took a long amount of time. But in the end, everybody that has ever touched this keyboard has told me the same thing, which is, this is literally the smoothest thing I've ever felt. Ooh, that's a wee bit dirty. Ooh, and check out that spacebar house, that spacebar switch, by the way. If you guys can identify what the spacebar switch is, you'll get 5 points to Gryffindor. MX Xylent. And what's in it? Like, it's obviously an MX Xylent. Yo, man. Hello. This is still supposed to be a Q&A stream, by the way. So, like, if you guys got any questions, I got the answers, boys. While we clean this filthy duck. Cleaning the filthy duck. I won when I feel like it. Well, after I-80. So I-80 will feature the hot swap port. And I want to make sure that when actually used in like real world scenario, it works and makes sense. And if it does, then I'll implement it into the I1. Share M67 history, what? Wow, this plate is filthy. I might need to like do a full desolder at some point just to clean up this plate, because I'm like the third owner of this thing. Is that the Ortho Commission? The board that predates Exempt. You mean the M65? Getting any upcoming boards? The Argyle, even though it's a 60%, is very interesting to me. That's the 60% with the 2 windows on the sides, where you can see all the surface mount components, which is super cool looking. What else? I don't know. I'm not really interested in much. Somebody that makes very nice keyboards that I like very much is releasing something soon, but I cannot talk about it. 3 guesses. Okay, so after prolonged use of switches, it gets better, or they just produce better switches? Yes, yes to both. So older molds were good, but it's entirely possible to get a good batch of modern switches. Now, the break-in is very important. Now, for example, if you take new old stock Vints, they feel like shit because they're new old stock. They were never used. You may as well just buy retool black. So the usage actually helps a lot. But then you have to cherry pick because some of them are in terrible condition, some of them are okay. I got my retex from Taobao right when they refreshed the molds. The minute they refreshed the molds, I got them. So like I have the best batch, or the second best batch possible. And I got all plate mount because plate mount molds would have gotten less use than PCB mount molds in order to like get the best possible batch, and I really enjoy them. They're like super nice. Like my Greaseal in my Jane 2 is spectacular. It just feels so good. Have you seen the Icy Bella? Any thoughts? I will share all of my thoughts on Sunday during the Angry Group Buy review. So I have a channel in my Discord, which is linked somewhere down there, and you can just toss links in there that you want me to cover. And if you're not going to be around, just like watch the VOD. I'll set up the highlights and everything. Thank you for the follow. So every Sunday I do IC and group buy reviews, and it tends to get very, very toxic, very quick. Oh, I should probably make a command for the Discord. You know, I'm gonna do that now. No, so hard. Okay, one moment. I'm gonna try and do this without a keyboard. Somehow. Copy link.